It's finally here. The premiere for Spider-Man No Way Home has come and gone, which means the first reviews have come in, and oh boy, is it insane. So, without further ado, let's get into the spoiler-free reviews for Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, I have seen a couple of negative reviews, and people have been talking about this, but they have said that the movie can feel messy at some times, and obviously that is kind of to be expected. I mean, with these big movies, it's often hard not to. I think even Endgame, which is a great film, but it had a big undertaking, and it does feel very rushed and exhausting and kind of all over the place at sometimes, and No Way Home is supposedly no different. Now I'm going to start off with the easy one, the one that everyone always clowns on, or ironically, people always hate it whenever it's a bad review, but people seem to love it when it's good reviews. And of course I'm talking about Rotten Tomato. So, the Rotten Tomato score for Spider-Man No Way Home is 99%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, obviously, it's not always great because sometimes the audience score is very different and usually what the general public believes. But for people who believe in Rotten Tomatoes or want just a general idea, that's what we got. Variety, who is notorious for spoiling Eternals last month, they're invited back and saw No Way Home, and they posted supposedly a bunch of spoilers in their review. So if you're looking into spoiler-free reviews, I do not recommend checking out Varieties. But let's dive into some of these other reviews. I cried the entire time. Wow, tears in the loudest crowd I've heard ever since Endgame. There are a lot of funny comments. They're saying, of course, it's the loudest crowd because Soups was there. So here's one of the reviews that's not necessarily negative, but it's more critical and is giving some sort of criticism about the movie. Spider-Man No Way Home is a lot of fun. At times it almost feels relentlessly funny, and the big moments / reveals feel properly epic. But I'm not sure how it holds up as a movie. There are so many plates spinning that the characters all get plenty of screen time but still feel underdeserved. And like they say, it's a little bit confusing sometimes, and there's so many things happening all at once, and it does feel like a high-paced, non-stop emotional roller coaster for 2.5 hours, but it's going to be really fun and epic, and just, you gotta sit back and enjoy the ride. Tom, Zendaya, and Jacob share an impressive amount of screen time together, and their chemistry is amazing. It's been great to see them grow across these films. Obviously, that's great. We love our trio, and we love to see them have a good dynamic. One of the things I always complain about in the Star Wars trilogy, the sequels, is that our main group of people don't ever interact together until really the last movie. That's really a shame because they'll have great chemistry together. So I'm glad they are also going to spend a lot of time together. I can confidently say Spider-Man No Way Home is the best live-action Spider-Man movie. A thrilling and emotional end to the Homecoming trilogy, but also a smart, fun, and exciting tribute to the 20 years of Spider-Man movies. Both hilarious and heartbreaking, I honestly love every second. And that's a big thing that I've seen. People say, yes, it is really funny, but there's a lot of heart in this movie. And based on the trailers, that's what I was also hoping for. We see a lot of emotional scenes and a lot of emotional just frames in all those trailers. So I was hoping that this movie is a very emotionally grounded, more so I think than Far From Home, which is kind of a letdown in that aspect. But Homecoming has a lot of those great scenes. Like I love that one scene when he's breaking down in front of Aunt May when he loses the Stark internship. It's a great scene, and I really hope that all these emotional scenes truly do deliver. It feels a bit like Avengers 4.5, not a perfect movie, and I have some criticisms, but my main concern was that Tom Holland's Peter Parker arc would be lost in it all. That was not the case. So like they said, there are criticisms in the movie. I imagine those are that it does feel messy because that's the main thing that I've been seeing on social media, but Peter's arc is very clearly in this movie, and it's the center of it, and that's what we're all hoping for. Because yes, we want this crazy fan service movie that is just everything that we want. All our expectations are high, and we want them to be met, but we also want just Peter Parker's story to be highlighted. Here's one for the Raimi and Tobey fans. Spider-Man No Way Home is the first live-action Spidey movie since Raimi left the series that actually seems to grasp what Spider-Man is all about. The fan service is a hoot, and there is a lot of it, but I'm especially pleased that there is a great Spider-Man story being told here. Now, whether you think that the movies after the Raimi trilogy are bad or not, that's up to you. I personally love The Amazing Spider-Man. I love Homecoming, two of my favorite Spider-Man movies. And especially coming from someone who clearly loves Raimi movies, a lot of people seem to feel that way about the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy and the MCU, that they don't always feel like Spider-Man. So having this praise be told, That's a pretty good sign. And like they said here, a lot of fan service. It's amazing, it's fun to watch, but there's also a great Spider-Man story. And at the end of the day, that's everything that we want. Spider-Man No Way Home didn't meet my expectations, it exceeded them. This movie is worth every excruciating moment we had to wait. The visuals, the score, the heart, the story, the villains. Talk about an epic creation. Tears, chills, and happiness. Now, that's also another thing that I've been seeing, and this is a lot more from the TikTok influencers that were there because I have been keeping up with them. And a lot of them have said, I had high expectations going into this, but it somehow exceeded them. And a lot of those people who I follow, I know people clown on TikTok a lot, but first of all, I started on TikTok. But a lot of these people are really harsh, not harsh reviewers, but they're very real reviewers. They're not going to just give 10 out of 10s willy-nilly, and they're not going to lie to the audience. Many of them even came out of Eternals who went to the premiere and said, wasn't a perfect movie, wasn't my favorite movie, but, it was solid. So they're going to be real with you, and a lot of them have said, exceeded expectations. Everyone has really high expectations going into it, and they said that there are surprises that no one will even see coming. That's really what I'm excited about. Spider-Man No Way Home sends the trilogy off on a glorious high note. The action is top-notch, and the villains steal the show. It felt like a culmination of all the previous Spider-Man films that came before it. This is the best Spider-Man film to date. Spider-Man No Way Home is the MCU's best and biggest Spider-Man film yet. Tom Holland shines in a nostalgic, emotional, compelling outing that delivers as one of the most entertaining blockbusters of the year with a kinetic action and superb characterization, a crowd-pleasing must-see. So now I'm going to transition more into the TikTok side of things because a lot of Marvel TikTokers were invited to this event and they've all been saying their opinions on it online. And the reason why I love these TikTok reviews is that these people are fans. You have the reviewers, and sometimes people always fight reviewers because they either seem biased or they're more like too movie focused, or they sometimes have just different opinions than the general audience. But these Marvel TikTokers, they are the people, they're fans just like you and me. They're people who have been hyped for this movie for 2 years. And some of them actually, I was very happy to see one in particular who does not like the previous Spider-Man movies that much or as much as maybe I do, but they love this movie. So without further ado, let's get into these. So the first person I'm going to start out with is Jay Stubes. If you don't know her, she's very big on TikTok, one of the main people that people go to for breakdowns, analysis, and opinions. Now, like I previously just said, she's the person who doesn't really like the past Spider-Man films. She's made many videos on this that are great. You should definitely check them out. But she said that none of the past Spider-Man movies really feel like Spider-Man to her. She was the review that I was most excited for. She said, I haven't loved the movies in the past. I think they've been good, but not great. They haven't been the Peter Parker that I want. But this movie was fantastic. She says it exceeded all her expectations. It does things that not even the rumors or any of the leaks covered. Is going to blow away expectations, and she absolutely loved it. And even at the end, she sort of gets choked up a little bit because it was such an emotional movie, and she loved it. I'm going to be honest. As soon as I got that review, that's what got me the most hype, because just knowing that she doesn't necessarily love the past movies, but this movie is so connected to them, and she loved this one, and she feels so emotionally attached to it, that was big praise, and that got me really excited. And then you have Soups, who says it's the best movie of all time, which, what else are you going to expect from Soups? Next up is Straw Hat Goofy. He actually hosted the TikTok event there, was interviewing a bunch of the actors and the director and just random people who showed up to the premiere. He loved the movie as well. He said that the villains feel great and that all the main three, Doc Ock, Electro, and Green Goblin, all have a great amount of screen time, and they actually feel very compelling and interesting. I'm really excited for that. Those three villains, well, more Doc Ock and Green Goblin are probably one of the better written villains. And Electro, I think he had a lot of potential in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But obviously there were some hiccups with the writing. But he says that he feels great in this movie and that he was really fun to watch. That makes me really excited. I love those three villains in the comics, so I'm glad they did them justice in this movie. Then we got Theories by T. He loved the movie too. Really, all these people love the movie. Every single TikToker that I've seen has had nothing to do but sing a bunch of praise. Theories by T said it's probably his favorite MCU movie and now in his top 3 Spider-Man movies, and that is just so great to hear. And that's pretty much it. Those are all the reviews that I could really find. I'm trying to find reviews while also staying clear of spoilers, but I hope that gives you a general idea of how people felt. We're also going to get more reviews tonight and tomorrow, as I believe it is premiering internationally. Tonight in, I think, the UK or something like that. And Thursday, obviously, it premieres in the US. But I imagine that reviews are going to be generally the same. If we do get a lot more negative reviews, I'm sure I'll make a video about that, covering all the non-spoiler content. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the next 2 days before Spider-Man No Way Home. I do hope you don't get spoiled. And please, if you know spoilers, don't spoil Spidey. Just let everyone enjoy this movie just so they can have the full experience on their own. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.